Okay, I'd like to call tonight's regular meeting of council to order. Recommendation that the agenda for the regular council meeting of May 11th, 2015 be adopted with late agenda items 11A, Aboriginal Community Services Society Partnership, 11B, registration to the BCNPHA Northern Rent Conference, and item 12A, verbal update on the spring 2015 community update. Moved by Councillor Reddenhalla, seconded by Councillor Niche. All those in favor? Motion carried. Item 3A, recommendation that the minutes of special meeting of council, or special council meeting of April 27, 2015 be adopted. Moved by Councillor Niche, seconded by Councillor Moreau. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Item 3B, recommendation that the minutes of the regular council meeting of April 27, 2015 be adopted. Moved by Councillor Niche, seconded by Councillor Moreau. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Item 3C, recommendation that the minutes of the public hearing meeting of April 27th, 2015 be adopted. Moved by Councillor Reddenhalla, seconded by Councillor Niche. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. And item 3D, recommendation that the minutes of the Committee of the Whole Council meeting of April 27th, 2015 be received. Moved by Councillor Niche, seconded by Councillor Moreau. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay, moving to item 8A, a proclamation request from the Heart and Stroke Foundation. It's a recommendation that the council declare June 6, 2015 as National Health and Fitness Day in the city of Prince Rupert. Moved by Councillor Reddenhalla, seconded by Councillor Moreau. Any discussion? I'll just say I think this is a great idea, and I absolutely support it. And so if there's no further discussion, I'd like to call a question. Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay, moving to item 11A. We have a late agenda item regarding the... Oh, my apologies, actually, item 9A. Resolutions from closed meeting. Mr. Mandrick, would you like to read out the motion?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It was moved by Councillor Thorkelson and seconded by Councillor Kinney that Council appoint as directors Sherry Pringle, Don Quast, Anna Ashley, Joy Sundin, Joyce Charlton, and Mark Page, all effective immediately and expiring March 31st, 2018 as Recreation Commission boards members, and that Karen Cruz and Alexi Stevens be appointed as alternative directors for the same term. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so moving on to item 11A. We have a motion being presented. This is regarding the innovative housing project that the Aboriginal Community Services Society is undertaking. It's a they have a provincial secretariat on this project, and the motion is that the Prince Rupert City Council will participate in the innovative housing project, partnering with the Prince Rupert Aboriginal Community Services Society, Macola, Muskama Housing Society, and all other community organizations. Moved by Councillor Niche, second by Councillor Moreau. Perhaps Councillor Thorkelson, maybe you'd like to give just a quick overview?
Sure. This has been in the works for a while, and the provincial government came to the Aboriginal homelessness group and said that there was some money available, and they had targeted Prince Rupert as one of three communities, I think. There's money available to come up with an innovative design for a community project regarding housing, and it was left that vague. And so a lot of discussion is going on, and we invited the we met with most of the people on the Aboriginal Homelessness Community Advisory Board, as well as others in a housing conference that we held about a month and a half ago, and they had people from, I think, 3 different ministries that came up from Vancouver to talk about this innovative project and what it would mean, and maybe some possible ideas about how we could do things. And the city talked about what we were doing and trying to in terms of the GO plan, and identifying what housing needs are going to be in Prince Rupert, and the fact that we were going to be doing surveys to determine what housing needs would be. So, and what our housing stock is now, and are people properly housed. So it was left at that, and it was taken back by the Aboriginal, I always forget what they're called, community services group.
Yeah.
And they have had a fair number of conversations with the person who's in charge of this from the governmental perspective. And so they came up with the idea that perhaps what we should be looking at is looking at a type of supportive housing for people who are homeless or imminently in danger of being homeless, that only need one-room accommodation, single accommodations, because that's the kind of accommodations that Macola doesn't have very many of, and it's the kind of accommodation that they think is likely to be in need. So they're interested, though, in taking part in our housing survey that we're going to do, and because one of the other messages from the government was that we have to bring BC Housing into this discussion. And as City Council heard from BC Housing, they don't find that there's a housing crisis in Prince Rupert. They don't find that there's a need for new housing in Prince Rupert or more housing in Prince Rupert. So what we have decided at the meeting today that the next step would be is that we would form this small committee of ourselves, Macola, either, I'm never quite sure if it's Aboriginal homelessness or the Services Society, but one of the two, and that we would spearhead this towards looking at finding housing for probably single people who are homeless, and the other target that had been identified was single parent families, trying to find some kind of supportive housing for them too. So, but I think what the biggest conclusion was at the meeting today was that everybody is waiting for our housing survey. Maybe not the housing survey, but the imminent homelessness housing survey, or the homelessness housing market style survey that we're going to do to identify if there really is a need. So I think that's the next step. Everybody's on board for that next step, and but this official committee has to be set up. There's $50,000 available to move this committee's work forward, and I think that will be of great advantage to the City of Prince Rupert to use that money to identify how, if we identify that there is a need, what kind of innovative solutions can we use to solve that need. But that's where they're focused on. It certainly is on their focus right now is on homelessness, and that was the focus.
Just while we're on this topic, because we were going to provide a verbal report, but you mentioned it now, so so the original process was that we formed 2 housing committees, and then we came together, and then we partnered with the Prince Rupert Aboriginal Community Services Society. We hosted an event where we had over 12 service groups come to kind of identify what the needs are. And then now where we're at, as Councillor Thorkelson presented, is we're kind of entering into 2 streams. One is the city is leading a community-wide initiative to quantify what the housing needs are through a community survey that we're going to be launching here shortly. A part of that survey will be a market study survey on the homelessness and kind of like what is the numbers around that. So that's one piece that the city is leading, and then the other piece is that the Prince Rupert Community Aboriginal Society is working with the province in a specific project. That this motion on the floor right now is saying that we also then want to partner with them to move forward on a specific project. So the data that the city will be collecting is going to inform this project as well. So we're still linked, but now we've kind of moving down two streams, and that's kind of where we're at the moment. So there'll be more coming out to the public within the next 2 weeks around how this is all going to move forward and what this community initiative is going to look like. But we're very excited about it. And so, does any other councillors have any comments about this at all? Mike.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. I think this is a good start, and we should go with that.
Great. So if there's no other further discussion, recommend calling question. Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay. So item 11B is just an information item for council that there is a, I'm not sure what the BCNPHA stands for. Okay, so the BC Nonprofit Housing Association is having an event in Terrace on June 18th, and I'll be attending, as well as I believe Councillor Thurkelson will be attending, and Councillor Cunningham. And just as a note of information for the rest of council, that if you're interested to register, and we can all go and get more information around kind of the current, I guess, frame around what's happening around policy and things like that. And do you have any other additional items to add about that?
No, I have no idea. I was supposed to be on the steering committee, but due to communication problems, I missed the meeting, so I'm not quite sure what's on the agenda, but it sounded quite exciting. They have, you might be really interested, Councillor Niche, because I think they were talking about innovative designs, and Councillor Moreau, you were talking about all of the different kinds of things that council could do in the way of bylaw preparation, that kind of thing, and we were talking about that as being on the agenda. So I don't know if I got those things on the agenda or not. We'll actually have to see. But those were things that I thought the nonprofit housing has that. They're not doing that, but they have that interaction in other communities. So I thought that was very important. But I was wondering if we needed. Mayor Brain, if we needed a motion that we pay for the registration fees or not. That's what I don't know. It's a 2-day conference. They're suggesting you stay overnight at a hotel. I don't know if we should be making that motion or not. That's all.
Mr. Manager, is that, yeah? Yeah, okay, I'll entertain a motion that we would, if anybody who wants to register and attend, that the city would pay the fee and the hotel fees. That's I'll make that motion. Okay, moved by Councillor Thurkelson. Any discussion about that? Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? That motion's carried. Okay, so before we go into any reports or question inquiries from the council, we're gonna hear an update. We just released a spring 2015 community update to the press. We made a press release. We have a video that's been released. We also have a comprehensive PDF that kind of goes through what we've been up to as a city. And I'm going to hand it over to our manager, Mr. Robert Long, to overview what this update entails.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For those that have been watching along and are keenly interested in our council and our municipality, some of this will be a repeat, but what we're doing here is an update. You will remember that with the budget deliberations, council decided to increase the budget by 2%. And part of that budget was $1.377 million for community enhancement grants. So many of the community were involved in making those applications. So you'll remember that. One of the new pieces of our budget. So we have an operational and capital budget. One of the new pieces of the budget is a planning for major projects budget, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But in addition to that, we'll remember from the capital budget, which we do quite early in the year, that $1 million has been allocated from Legacy Inc. To go towards sidewalk and road repairs. Those road repairs, some of which have already started. We'll have them up on our website soon, so the public could track where exactly those improvements will be taking place, and we're looking forward to that. So one of the the important new parts of the budget, which is being released today, is a $1.3 million a year for the next 4 years towards our major projects budget. So for the next 4 years, we'll be using money from Legacy to get ready for major projects, which involves a substantial amount of work on the staff's part to do whole numbers of things. One of them is housing that we've just heard council speak about quite a bit. We have an update and talk a bit about some of the things that council is doing with housing. Another example is we'll be moving forward with a sample census where we'll be investigating the numbers and other pieces of information throughout the community, so the community can stand by to engage in that. A number of other issues that we'll be moving forward on, but this $1.3 million budget is coming out of Legacy, the money that's been earmarked and collected from Lot 444 is being, and it will have no impact on the property taxes moving forward. Council has also decided to support a full-time mayor, so there'll be an additional payment to the mayor to bring his salary up $17,000 so that he will be working on a full-time basis, and I can assure you he's working on a full-time plus basis lately, as with all the things that are going on. The update will also identify a number of things that council has done on housing, indicate some of the recommendations and conclusions from a number of reports that council has commissioned over the last few months. Infrastructure deficit report, preparing for growth report, and then subsequently what we've been focusing on the last little while, which is an LNG goal plan, which will really identify all the issues that need to be addressed in the city of Prince Rupert for us to be ready for an LNG major project, were it to come forward. So lots of work being done here to get us ready. The money that will come out of the budget in the next 4 years won't be money coming from the property taxes, but is actually being allocated from Legacy Inc. So that is that in all manner of detail will be in the update, which will go out to the community shortly, and that's the complete report. Thank you.
Would any councillors like to have any additional comments for the report? Councillor Niche.
I would just like the public obviously this is going to be a lot to talk about. So I would just like to make sure that everyone has a good read. This, I believe, will be coming in our property tax bill. Is that correct, or the statement? This.
We're not sure if it's going to come out through there. We might actually find another way to get it out, but it will be in as many households as we can in the next little while.
I just want to make sure that everyone has a really good read through this and try and understand everything that we've worked towards here, because we all know that the rumors get started pretty quick around this town, and people will discuss one thing and focus on one thing, and I'd like everyone to make sure that they have a good read through the whole the whole 7 pages or whatever it is, and really try to understand where we're coming from on all the topics in this. That's all I got to say.
Any other further comments, Councillor Thorkelson?
I just want to say that it may be worthwhile one day when we have a light agenda such as tonight to to actually put on our website and walk people at home through it, so they can see where they could actually locate the road repairs, so people actually get walked through our website. People at home who are watching us, you know, you don't want to do it at night when the agenda is heavy, but I think that we should actually do that. Try to walk people through so they can see where you can find the bylaws. You can see, on building bylaws, so you can see where you can find, you know, zoning. You can see how, you know, just something simple that we can show people where things are on the website, because I'm not sure everybody's that comfortable with looking at it.
And the other thing I'll add too is that the reason why we've done this is because within the next 4 years, that is the time between when LNG will or will not go ahead. We are operating as if there are major projects right now with a staff that is used to a depressed economy. So part of this whole process of this 2015 to 2019 planning for major projects budget is specifically to help with additional staffing and staff capacity to help handle the load. It's something that I feel we absolutely must do to help us get to a new level. And so that was some of the rationale. And just so that the public's aware that a lot of this, we did pass this in a closed meeting, and those minutes will come out shortly, that we had to do that because of the sensitive discussions around issues around land, around legal, around labor, that we had to have a discussion around all those types of topics, that we couldn't have that conversation necessarily out in the public. But we're here now revealing to everyone and being transparent and open that we're making, we believe, wise and good choices for this community to move forward and to start really addressing things like our infrastructure deficit and start really taking on the bigger problems that our community is facing. And a lot of that at the moment is about staff capacity and having more staff to be able to get more things done, so that the public is starting to see and feel that we are moving forward as a community. And so that's kind of some of the rationale that why we've passed this budget, and we believe that it's going to serve us well. And that's all I need to add to this conversation at the moment. So if there's no other further comments around that, I'll open it up to any further reports or inquiries or questions from council. Councillor Thorkelson.
On your behalf, Your Worship, I attended graduation for the Aboriginal Canadian entrepreneurs on Friday, and there's certainly I think there were 16 that were graduated on Friday from a program from University of Victoria, Gustafson School of Business, and Tricor has put a lot of the funding into that project. BG put some funding into it as well, and the entrepreneurs all chose a subject and built not just a business plan, but a whole concept around their subject and tried it out. One of the interesting things was that they divided their class into 4 groups, and each group had a challenge. They got $1,000, and they were to take that $1,000 and to develop an idea, and then they had to pay that $1,000 back and at the end of developing their idea. So one of the ideas that was developed were, and I probably shouldn't have said this because I'm not sure I can remember all 3, but one of them was Tears, Highway of Tears t-shirts, like I can't remember. I didn't see a sample of it, so I don't know exactly what it had, but they made $2,500 as well as returning their money. So I think they actually might have made a $6,000 sales, but by the time they paid for everything, and another they had a couple of other good ideas that that I can't remember at the moment now. I'm embarrassed to say. I should have written them down, but they made money, and the students learned how to do something. So I think that we're going to see maybe 16 new businesses, small businesses opening in our area or in the local First Nations communities over the next few months. So, and they've got another intake for June, So they're doing the whole program over again in June. They've already filled all the seats. I think they said they had 60 applicants, so there's a great deal of interest. So I think it was well worthwhile. It was a delightful evening, and I'm glad that you weren't around. It was a very delightful evening.
Thank you, Councillor Thorkelson. And just for the record, myself, Councillor Nation, Councillor Kinney, and Mr. Manager were in Prince George for the NCLGA, so we weren't able to make that, but thanks for the update. Is there any other reports or comments from Council? Okay, so hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Randhawa, second by Councillor Kinney, or Niche, sorry. All those in favor? Okay, motion carried. Meeting adjourned.